I accepted the assignment in the U.S. because I thought that it would, for one, give me a real opportunity to broaden my experience in management.
It helps any manager to polish himself by coming here, the same way that U.S. managers polish themselves by going overseas and being exposed to other markets and people.
If you want to progress within the company, particularly in our company's case, you have to spend some time at corporate headquarters.
Okay, this is a business trip. How long are you planning to be in the United States?
3 months.
Do you have gifts for anyone?
Okay, good. Yep, close it up here.
First off, to Northwest Orient, lower level, curbside, please.
Good day, sir. Have you heard the word? It can help you to see the light.
I'm sorry, I do not understand.
Well, have a nice day, sir.
Excuse me, sir. Would you like to buy a box of Girl Scout cookies?
I'm sorry, they're waiting for me.
Excuse me, sir. Mr. Dish, Andy?
Yes, Ramesh Deshpande. And you, Mr. Walker?
I'm not Mr. Walker. I'm the driver. I was instructed to pick you up and bring you to headquarters.
Oh, Mr. Walker is waiting for me in headquarters?
I don't know, sir. I don't know Mr. Walker. I'm from the driver pool.
Pool?
I'm from the company. May I take your bags?
It's all right, I can. Do you know if my office is ready?
Don't worry. Everything's going to be okay.
22 million people visit the United States of America each year. Many on foreign business, or to work in American companies, or to go to American schools. These international visitors are on important missions, but it is easy to become lost if you aren't prepared for the American way of doing business.
Can I help you, sir?
Yes, my name is Ramesh Deshpande. I shall be working here. Mr. Robert Walker, he's expecting me.
Just a minute. There's a Mr. Deshpan something for Bob Walker. Okay, go to the second floor and enter the main office. Make a right, and it'll be the 5th office on the left. You can't miss it.
I'm new here at Saraf Corporation. I'm looking for Mr. Walker.
Walker? I'm not sure. This is a big place. I don't know everyone here. Why don't you try a couple of offices down the way?
Excuse me, I'm looking for Mr. Walker.
I'm not sure where he is. I think you should go back and turn right.
Right down here, about 3 cubicles down on the left.
Okay. I go from here and then turn left?
Right. No. Down, second left.
Second left.
And turn right.
Turn right.
Okay?
Okay.
Sure.
This is no way to greet a visitor, but it does happen. Or people may be very hospitable at first, but after a week or two completely disappear, leaving you on your own.
I think a person coming in here will have probably more opportunities in the course of the years ahead of him or her than he could find in any other country or any other society. But they are not easy opportunities. They are not opportunities that will roll out by themselves. Little windows open up, and you have to plunge at them and go through them and work, and work, and work, and work. I think the key to success here is to understand that these opportunities will come, that no one will take you by the hand and push you into them or pull you into them, that you have to be ready to recognize them and move, and then you really have to invest yourself.
Whenever somebody comes new to this country, you're expected to give up the way you have done it before and try a new way, try it the American way. A lot of people has immigrated to this country, and they came here to realize the American dream They wanted to get rid of the way it was done in their country to take a new chance here.
It goes all back to the frontier. They're people who created their own country. So consequently, the traits that are held in very high regard are individual initiative, action, make things work somehow. This is the reason why I like to work here, is that it moves. It's action-oriented, there's drive, there's ambition, and it's a go-getter society.
It's very brisk, it's bottom line, and it's straight to the point, whereas in the culture that I've been brought up in, you kind of mesh that with a little more congeniality and, you know, a little more concern for the other person. Whereas here it's just bottom line, this is what you want to do, okay, no more. It's short and sharp, and time is money.
It's incredible how they go about time. It's like if something that you can touch, it's like, it's not an abstract word. And if they say 7 o'clock, it's 7 o'clock sharp. Be there on time.
I cannot wait until Tuesday or Monday. I
thought you wanted to go to dinner.
I want to know within half an hour.
Working life in the U.S. is very fast-paced here. It's like boom, 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 boom all the time.
And I think the emphasis on packing as much as possible into a day, you know, and it's not unusual to catch a 6 o'clock plane somewhere and fit in 3 meetings and catch a 11 o'clock plane back at night.
Well, we still seem to be running behind schedule, and we've got to rush things up because we've got a lot to get.
It is easy to be deceived by appearances of calm. Things may not seem urgent, but schedules and deadlines are to be taken seriously. Performance is often measured not only by results, but by how quickly you get the job done.
I don't mind if Sue has more time, but I don't want to give up any of my time.
Okay, Pam said that she might try.
You try to force your own way, whether it's Latin, whether it's European, whether it's Asian, you won't get through. In Latin America, you do build a relationship before you do business. You do sort of like to become friends before you actually get down to work. In the U.S., that's not necessary. You can actually dislike somebody, and you still can do business with the person. People like to get down to the essence of the subject they're into it. You want to get straight to the point.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, hi, Bud.
Oh, hi,
Bud. How was the trip?
Oh, great.
Say that report that you sent in from Kinshasa. It's great. Great.
Good.
We had a couple of changes, I think, in Section 3 before.
Americans are impersonal in business compared to Latins, Africans, or Arabs. They say business is business, and family or friendship connections should not influence decisions. There's a different sense of obligation here.
You have to come here understanding that it is a very competitive environment and very openly competitive, and you have to look upon it as like being a sport.
Some visitors are amazed that the people seem to work all the time, not out of loyalty to the company or financial need, but because hard work is valued.
New marketing thing and assisting needs.
Somehow the government's getting this idea that it's a fat cat type of plan.
Business is respectable here, and Americans believe you can accomplish almost anything if you try hard enough.
Americans, in most situations, I think, are more aggressive than Europeans are, and that's something you have to adjust to.
They're going to question you a lot more. They're going to expect, I think, a lot more out of you here.
So that gives us an
But you're
update.
definitely going to make it in July, right? It's a little more complex working here than it is in Malaysia. It's important to put aside some of that Asian reserve that we have.
33 of them or not.
What did you have in your plan for August? 33?
I had 33, but I'd kind of like to cut it back to about 25.
Okay. Now you, in July, what you had completed was you had planned to do 35 and you did 32. I thought you said it was 33. It kind of takes a
33.
while to get used to the informality that you have here.
To September.
So what would that make September look like?
Well, it's going to make September look like about 46.
Oh, wow. Remember that you will also be very busy in the month of September and October writing up those job descriptions. So you're not only planning for yourself to do more follow-ups, but more job descriptions are going to be done there. I really have a concern about you pushing that much over to September.
Okay,
Having lived here in the country for about a year, I've recognized the super importance of being specific. You've got to be so direct in your questioning and so specific in what you want that it does bowl me over sometimes.
Whenever you talk to each other, you do business, and there's money involved, there's business involved in everything here in the States.
Personnel, this is Monica.
Hello? Bob DeBona.
A lot of contacts are over the telephone rather than written, it seems.
Hi, Barb. This is Mike. What are my messages?
The informal contacts here are much more frequent. Also very important to have a lot of meetings where people get information.
Eileen, I'm going to a meeting, so please hold my calls. Thank you.
Americans like to say that you will succeed in the USA only if your work and your product and your service are good. That is their ideal, but it may not be that easy. In any business, it helps to have personal connections and to know something about the people you do business with. The Americans call it networking, and whether they are about to go to a meeting, into negotiations, or into a sales talk, they go prepared.
He hates to be called Bob. Call him Robert. His hobbies include sailing and antique cars. His wife is Barbara. She's a fitness enthusiast and involved in civic affairs. He has 2 children. He's a tough negotiator, and he likes to throw numbers around.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
It is really a salesman society. It's not only a commercial society, it is a salesman society. They're always selling something. They're selling their product, their company, their service, and last but certainly not least, they're selling themselves and doing quite well at it too.
There's a store where you can choose from the top.
They ask for the sale. You don't leave the door, you don't end a sales talk without directly asking for the sale in some form or
All
shape.
kinds of people buy more kinds of computers than any other store in the world. Where? Here.
Americans want to hype everything because that is selling. Make the most of what you've got. And it reminds me of my astonishment when I went to the supermarket again from 4 years ago and I looked at eggs. You know, there are no small eggs in America. They don't exist. They tend to be jumbo, extra large, large, or medium. Doesn't matter that the medium are about that big. Small eggs don't exist because I guess they think that might be bad. And you can see that reflected in the advertising.
I'd like to say, and let me be your guide to some great deals.
It's direct, it's verbal rather than visual. It's more aggressive.
9% financing. And here at Errata, we'll get you a much better deal. Just 3% over invoice. Tempting, isn't it?
More and more companies from around the world are investing in the USA. In 1984, General Motors and Toyota Motor Corporation formed New United Motor, a joint venture to manufacture the Chevrolet Nova. General Motors hired consultants to provide cross-cultural training to a select group of managers who would be working with Japanese counterparts. Before the contract was even signed, these Americans were doing their homework on how to deal with the Japanese. And now the Japanese are learning about American management and auto workers. Together, people of different historical and cultural backgrounds are creating a new corporate culture.
The important issues for a foreign firm working here is that they don't try just to export their way of doing business in their own country, in the new country. That they listen more than that they are telling. It is a learning process also for cooperation, not just for the people. If one is not willing to adjust to the local habits, to the local ways of doing business, one better shouldn't come.
Morning. Hi, Lizelle. How's it going? Good morning. Hi, Jim. Good morning.
If you don't understand the differences in the business, then you will make many mistakes, which will lead into wrong decisions and will cost the company a lot of money. You could destroy the working atmosphere, and people become inefficient in fighting this kind of a foreign body. I think American workers feel about foreign management as German workers feel about American management over there. It is always very difficult to accept that there's suddenly someone coming from the outside who knows everything better. I think it's a delicate balance a company has to keep and maintain, that the foreign element is not overpowering the local one.
Good morning. Hi, Ben. How's your finger doing?
A lot better.
Is
Thank
it?
you.
Oh,
Yes,
good.
Much better.
And it's very important to have close relationships with your employees. That means exchange of information, knowing a little bit about their personal life, where they're coming from, how they feel, And that gives me so much feedback.
I don't recognize that number, you know. I mean, I've seen them before, you know, in Brooklyn, but I've never seen that number.
That's a good question. I don't know, honestly.
You know, it would...
Why don't you check with Hong Feng up in engineering?
Yeah, I'm very curious about it.
In managing here in this place, I had to get used to contact, information, exchange with the people. Telling them the whole story, let them share the whole picture of the activities of the company. That is also very, very important to give them the feeling of a team.
I want to thank everybody for coming.
Managers get their power from job position and competence, not from age, education, family, or political connections. And your boss may be a woman.
Where right now we have a tremendous problem within the educational marketplace. And our problem is we aren't taking advantage of an opportunity and we aren't using the leverage that we have in our different marketing areas. And we're going to brainstorm, and I want to come out of this meeting with 5 to 10 key specific areas that we can take back to the Marketing Council as recommendations about how we, in fact, can change the programs. And since you're the experts, I want you guys all to contribute.
We have not had success here mainly because of some political issues involved.
Brainstorming is just one problem-solving style. Anyone can express whatever thought comes to mind, hoping that free thinking will inspire creative solutions.
I have some definite ideas, and I think that we need to get into a win-win situation where...
The American boss expects participation. You must take initiative and speak up. If you are passive, people may think you're not prepared.
We could basically take what we've learned at one campus and offer it to various other campuses and do it very quickly, I would think.
There's a lot of people who argue that all we're doing is trading dollars.
And now we have a competitor where we...
Americans are uncomfortable with indirection and ambiguity. They prefer fact and truth. Avoiding unpleasant facts can cause distrust and harm relations.
I go to offices and everybody complains. The direct guys complain to me and the dealer guys complain to me. And then I go to the dealers complain, and then you go to the schools and they complain. So, where's the business?
Questions may seem very challenging, but don't take them personally. Answer with facts or further explanation.
And what we get, though, is the flag that says this program doesn't work. And so we need to eliminate the flag.
Eliminating the flag is one thing, but having people keep telling me all this all the time, when I don't get data on either side, I want to know where the business is.
We've started to try to create a program by worrying about all the things that can get to us. And not just worrying about how to maximize the business, because the data that you and I were trading most recently is, hey, we did significant business last year.
And it's gone.
This year it doesn't exist. And our friends someplace else got it. And I'd like to give the business back.
Everything that was happening in that particular...
To make a contribution, you must be able to present your thoughts logically and persuasively. You have to defend your ideas. It's okay to disagree, but comments should be impersonal and goal-oriented.
The program needs to be uniform, but we got to be flexible. And I think we probably need 2 or 3 different approaches. You know, you got to say, here's plan A, plan B, plan C. You know, whichever one you like is the one we like.
The American manager wants to end the meeting with a summary of what was accomplished and what the next steps are.
The action items are, Tom and I are going to take and review this list, and then Tom's going to take some ideas back to the council. I'll be back in touch with all of you.
Great.
There's no lifetime employment in the U.S. There's less job security than almost anywhere else. If you don't do your job, you can lose it. And even if you do your job well, you can be terminated when business conditions are bad or when there are changes in senior management.
Good afternoon, Kashima-san.
Good afternoon, Doctor.
The reason I called you in today was I wanted to check on the status of the memo I asked you to write.
Memo?
Yeah, the memo that I talked about on Monday in the meeting. I asked for everyone to get the memo to me by Wednesday, and it's 3 o'clock, and I don't have a memo yet.
I'm sorry, I forgot it.
You forgot the memo?
Yes.
Well, how could you? I clarified with everybody on Monday in the meeting. I asked if there were any questions. Nobody said anything. You all nodded. I need that memo today.
I'm sorry, I forgot it.
Oh, that's great. Well, I've only got 2 hours to get this thing done. It's already 3 o'clock on Wednesday. I'll write it myself. I don't have time to talk to you about this right now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so am I. I'll talk to you later.
Very sorry.
Well, how could you? You said you would do it for me last week.
No one should do business in the USA unprepared. There are professional trainers who can help anyone of any nationality to learn the skills and styles needed to succeed.
Okay, let's take a look at why Kashima-san acted like he did. And to start with that, how about telling me about the characteristics of a good Japanese subordinate? And I'll go right on the board.
Okay.
Okay. Suji-san?
He was sitting up straight.
He listens well.
Listens well.
Listens
Okay.
well.
Okay.
He doesn't complain.
Right.
I think there's no eye contact.
No, yes.
Kashima, when you say yes, 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 does that mean you agree? What were you thinking about when you just kept saying yes?
Good listener is usually many say yes, yes,
okay.
yes.
So
Subordinate.
it doesn't mean you agree, though.
Oh no.
It is difficult for Americans to understand the Japanese facial expression, like a gesture, but we can understand.
So he's behaving in a way that's very natural for him and communicates that he's being a very respectful, effective subordinate. I wonder if Doug feels the same way.
He made a mistake, and now he's just saying, I'm sorry, and he's leaving me with the problem. So I feel, actually, he's being insubordinate right now. Instead of respectful, it's disrespectful, insubordinate, and he's not taking responsibility. Okay, with take two now, what I would like to suggest is for Kashima-san to be a little bit more assertive. Okay, what we have on the feedback handout was timing is very important. So don't give up. If you want to make a point with me, say, Doug-san, I've got to talk to you, this is important, and talk about it right then. Don't wait until later. Good afternoon, Kashima-san.
Good afternoon, Doug-san.
The reason I asked you to come here today was I wanted to check on the status of the memo that I asked you to give to me by today.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't understand you clearly.
You didn't understand?
Yes.
I talked about it in the meeting on Monday.
Yes.
And I asked everybody to get it to me by Wednesday, and it's 3 o'clock Wednesday. And you don't have the memo.
I'm sorry. I'm very busy installing some new equipment, and it is very difficult for me to write quickly in English.
Well, why didn't you tell me that in the meeting? I said, does anybody have any questions? Nobody said anything. You could have told me then.
Because, I didn't want my subordinate to realize how poor my English.
We're trying to get the trainees to understand the concept of style switching. And for us, that means that the new skills that they learn are a resource, just like the skills that they have been brought up with. And that they can look at the situation, they can look at the context, and use those new skills almost like it's a driving license from America and the driving license they have from their home country. Whichever one fits the situation, they have and they can pull out and use in the situation.
Well, there's a point in training when the trainees actually resist everything we're saying. And according to them, they're afraid of losing their own Japanese identity. So we point out good cultural mentors in Japan. And we say, well, they're also a very good business person in America. Have they lost their Japanese identity as a Japanese business person? Well, no, they haven't. Then I'll say, well, they also are very effective as a Japanese in America. So it shows that they can be a good bridge, a good cultural informant, without leaving their own culture.
You're expected to learn a lot here. So just getting the experience of seeing how you live here, what things really are like here, is highly respected. So I think it's an investment. What you're actually doing here is getting your BTA. That's been to America.
Before coming to the States, you have to do your homework, read some books. You cannot do everything at home before you come here. But when you come here, there is a lot of resources around you. You have libraries, you have other people who have lived in this country.
Find yourself a buddy. That person can be either an American or an immigrant who, however, has been here long enough to know the lay of the land.
It's important to truly try to absorb the culture. Learn about baseball, learn about basketball, learn about politics, learn about the government, because you need that basis to relate to your coworkers and really develop an understanding with them.
When you move to America, I think you tend to think about it as being one country. And very much like Europe, it's many countries contained within one boundary. And the culture in the Midwest is very different to the culture in New York, and certainly the culture in California is far more laid back than you'd find in the Midwest.
I don't think there's even a typical Californian. They're people, they're individuals like everybody else in the world.
Depending on where you go in America, the culture is going to be different. So don't expect to come here and find one homogeneous country with 250 million clones in it.
in our company, we have people from all over the world. You have people from Asia, you have people from India, you have people from Europe, you have Latins, you have Americans of all sorts of heritage. So you see so many styles, and you can see how people can be effective no matter where they're coming from.
People talk about the American way of this and the American way of that. I think it is very important to realize that industries tend to develop a subculture of their own that many times is more pronounced, more characteristic than the national culture.
Now that seems to me the easiest, cheapest. We do have to make
the real culture a corporation has. You can only find that out by being in that organization, working in that organization, observing how people go about doing their work, looking at the people who get promoted, taking a look at what some of their characteristics are.
What I would suggest, we get together this afternoon, you, me, you, and somebody from domestic, and let's talk about that and put a step by step what we have to do to accomplish that.
Every organization has its own culture. Often the values are spelled out in black and white, and these written statements of philosophy and goals are an important source of information as to what is expected of you. Understanding your own job description is basic, but there are many other clues. How people dress.
Any questions, feel free just to walk in.
Okay. How space is used. Americans value individuality and tend to prefer private offices. Typically, they decorate their space with personal objects, a signal that work areas must be respected as private property. Status is less obvious here, but appearances of equality can be deceiving. There is a definite hierarchy. The higher ranking the individual, the larger the office, and the bigger the windows. Personal space is important too. Americans don't touch as much as Arabs or Latin Americans, but more than Asians and Northern Europeans, and touching is only by superiors or peers. When you're unable to recognize the clues, it is your responsibility to ask.
I don't want to sound like a Monday morning quarterback, but it seemed to me that you punted in that meeting. Oh, sure, your batting average was pretty good, but gee whiz, sometimes you were way out in left field. This project could put us in the big leagues, and I think we're already in the home stretch. But to really score big, you're going to have to go the whole 9 yards. Think you can get me some ballpark figures by next Friday?
Say?
It's important when you hear terms which are different to ask what it means and get it explained to you, so you don't go through your period here not understanding a lot of the terms, because you'll constantly come across terms that either are different or they're used in a similar context to the way they're used in Europe. They have a different meaning.
So wherever you work, you have co-workers, you have a boss, you have people possibly working for you. Communication is absolutely the key for you to be integrated into that environment sufficiently so you're a productive member of it. So language to me is absolutely the key element.
If we're going to blitz the market, we have to bite the bullet and get to the front line. I'll rework the strategy and run it up the flagpole.
Yes, you can go overboard. You can try to almost be more American than the American.
Don't make a fool of yourself trying to be American. The U.S. permits you to keep your individuality, be what you are.
There isn't one golden rule. I mean, not one style of operating is necessarily going to succeed. In our own particular company, there are numerous different styles of success, and I think you have to relate to the one that you think you can successfully operate with.
Always keep in mind that you're an apprentice, even if you're being put in charge in management. Yeah, you have to learn, you have to understand, you have to listen first before you really can manage other people.
I think a good reminder can be to look at the world map here in the United States, because here the world map is presented a little bit different from what it is back home. Here you have the United States in the middle. It's a good reminder. You're in the United States, that's the most important. That's where you are now.